Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Be Green with Amy. I'm Amy. After adopting a whole food plant-based lifestyle, my hubby Rick and I lost over 130 pounds. Now I coach others on their plant-based journey. Just Task Voice. Let's welcome our guest.
60-year-old Mitch Gill lost 78 pounds, transformed his health, and now rides his bike through a plant-based lifestyle. Please click like to help Be Green with Amy. Welcome, Mitch Gill.
Greetings, Green Warrior, and welcome, Mitch.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to finally meet you in person.
Yeah.
Today, Green Warriors, Mitch is going to share his incredible story of losing 78 pounds and transforming his health on a plant-based diet. And actually, I don't know Mitch in person. He got in touch with me over social media, and he said, I have a really good story to share, and I would like to share it with you.
It's time for True or False on Be Green with Amy Live. Answer true or false to Amy's questions in the comments below, and Amy will ask our guest for the expert answer.
Okay, this is a weird question that you probably have not heard me ask before. True or false, Green Warriors? What do you think? Mitch is a stand-up comedian? Tell us about that. Yes. True.
Yeah, I've been studying stand-up. I think I've been a closet stand-up comic my whole life. But I've really been studying it for about 10 years now, and I really enjoy it. And I work mostly in the lower peninsula of Michigan, and just work on a couple different shows here and there, and do open mic most weeks to go work out new jokes. And I really love it. It's mostly observational comedy.
I know that my Green Warriors, being plant-based, sometimes they want a little sense of humor too. And maybe, during the broadcast, we can talk about some funny comebacks that maybe we could at least say in our heads if we don't want to say it out loud. When
Sure.
we hear people ask us questions like, where do you get your protein? Sometimes we just want to have a little fun in answering instead of being serious about it, so that people don't think that we take this so seriously. Okay, now let's get into a question that relates to your story. Green Warrior, what do you think? True or false? Mitch's initial weight loss came from cutting out dairy products. What do you think, Green Warriors? That's just a guess from you. Of course, you don't know his story, but tell us, Mitch.
Well, actually, originally it was from going gluten-free.
Interesting.
Yeah. Back in 2011, I lost 45 pounds doing that, just by cutting out wheat and refined carbohydrates, fast food, and pop.
Wow.
You're in Florida, I should say soda.
Some people just say soda pop so they don't offend anybody, right?
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And this is part of the whole food plant-based diet, and this is why we say unprocessed is really the best way to go. And I think that's sometimes why people who do the paleo keto are successful with weight loss, because that also eliminates processed foods and things like that. But we're going to maybe talk about it a little later, but when you go whole food plant-based, you're not just eliminating those processed foods, but you're also getting healthier foods with a lot of micronutrients in them that are more health promoting and not heart disease promoting, as some of the food on the paleo can be. Okay.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So we have one more true or false, and then we'll get into your story. True or false, Greener, what do you think? Mitch's son is a big influence on his plant-based journey. I know a lot of us have family members that are in or out, so that's a guess. What do you think? Tell us, Mitch.
He is, and I'll tell you why. Because he's my only son, and I'm divorced, so I want the rest of my life to be maintenance-free for him. He will never have to worry, what do I do with dad? He doesn't know his name or mine, and I have to change his diapers. I never want that. I want to be riding my bicycle until I'm 110, when I just fall over or don't wake up the next morning. And so I don't want to ever be a burden on him. So it's out of, selfish reasons for me and out of respect for him.
Yeah. And I always tell my clients, because I'm a coach, I ask them what is their why. And we all have to have, I think, a why that makes you cry.
Yep.
So sometimes you have a why, but it's not, you have to really dig deeper.
Yeah.
And that would be, to me, that would be a why that makes me cry, because I don't want to be dependent on somebody else either, to have them have to take care of me, especially if it was some way that I could have prevented those things.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are some circumstances in life where you do have to be dependent on other people through no fault of your own. You just, happen to have an accident or something. But if you know about this and you embrace it, then that'll definitely empower you to have a greater chance not to be a burden on anyone, especially loved ones.
Right. The cardiologist, Kim something or other,
Williams.
Kim Williams, I
Mhm.
think he said, I know I'm going to die someday. I just don't want it to be my fault. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I like your why. That's really great.
thanks.
So now let's run through this story, right? So were you
Y-
always overweight?
yeah, you know what I need to do? I need to put do not disturb on my phone. May I do that?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry to do
Well, no
that to you.
worries. And while we're doing that, Green Warriors, why don't you tell me what where you're tuning in from? I would love to know. So tell me in the comments where
I'm
you're
back.
tuning in from, and we'll see what part of the world we are seeing everybody from. Okay, they're gonna be telling us where they're tuning in from. And now we're back to Mitch, who's gonna
Thank
tell
you.
us, our question was, were you overweight all of your life?
Yeah, I struggled with it. Actually, when I got my tonsils out when I was about 5 years old, my mom later told me in 6 weeks I was a fat kid. I was a beautiful, skinny little redhead. And then that getting the tonsils out, I started eating more. And then I found out as an adult, that's a side effect of getting your tonsils removed is weight gain.
I
Did you
didn't
know
know
that?
that. No, we
Yeah.
should have made that a true or false question.
Yep. And I struggled with it my whole life until I went gluten free in 2011. And I felt like I learned how to be a new person at that point. And then, so that got me down to about 168. And I was very comfortable at that weight.
How
And
tall are you?
then, what's that?
How tall are you?
I was 5'9", and I've
Okay.
shrunk a little bit
Yeah.
because now I'm 60. And then when I went plant-based in 2020, I dropped down even more. So I mean, dropped down to I think I got into my 120s, but then I came up to 135, and I've locked down at this weight.
Mhm.
It's really been kind of amazing. But that feeling like a new person with gluten free, and then all over again felt like another new person with plant based, because it was just it was like that, but even supercharged. It was just amazing. I have to thank my brand new ex-wife for the gluten free thing.
Oh, so it was her idea
Yep.
to go gluten free. Did she have any health issues? Is that why did she
She
think of it?
we saw some friends at a St. Patrick's Day party, and they looked great. Hadn't seen them in a year. What'd you do? We went gluten free. What's that? And they told us it's wheat. So she educated herself over the next 2 weeks. And March 27th, we went gluten free, all three of us. And my teenage son stuck with it for a couple years, and she was on and off with it. She takes some enzymes so she can eat wheat here and there, but I was 100% sold, and I haven't eaten it since, and I never will, because I feel so good. It's amazing. So I call her on March 27th every year and thank her
Oh, that's nice.
for that gift. And then fast forward to July 2019, up north in Michigan with family for the 4th of July. I see my uncle, and he's looking really good. I said, "What'd you do?" And he says, "I lost weight by cutting out meat."
Oh, you
Why,
must have thought he was crazy.
why would you do that? He says, "This is what hit me." He says, "It makes us too acidic, and we're supposed to be more alkaline." I didn't know what that meant, or I didn't know even anything about it, but somehow it hit me like, well, that sounds like a fact. So I cut down to eating meat 4 days a week, couple months, went to 3 days a week. And then I realized it wasn't important at all. And 5 documentaries in December and January. I watched those, and that locked it down to February 2nd, 2020. I said, I'll never eat meat and dairy ever again. And I haven't. And I lost a bunch more weight and felt like a brand new person again. And I feel like an athlete at 60, which is nuts.
Yeah, it is, because aren't we supposed to be declining as we age?
Yeah, exactly. My knees used to hurt when I go up and down stairs. Now I bound up and down stairs like Tigger on Winnie the Pooh. It's crazy. It's just, I love it.
That's wonderful. So knowing that you're a comedian, I want, and you said it was 78 pounds. Is that right?
Yeah, all together, but it was actually more because I dropped
Yeah.
down lower and then I came back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
wow. So what do you think's lighter, you or your sense of humor?
definitely my sense of humor. Yeah, you said like ask me where I get my protein.
Yeah.
My question right back is, where do you get your fiber?
Okay. Well,
that's my question back, and then the conversation usually goes into the bathroom. How I'm in there 3 or 4 times a day, and I leave there so euphoric and almost lightheaded, like I smoked a joint or something. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Fiber's magic.
I said that to one of my relatives when I first started this. I said, where do you get, because she asked me the same question, and I answered, where do you get your fiber? And she said, Metamucil.
Yeah.
And then she said, just joking. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that was a joke.
No, you check her recycle bin, and there's going to be empty bottles of Metamucil in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Amy, I want to, I've told you my story. I want to tell you a special story about a friend of mine, and it has to do with plants. Can I tell you?
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to hear. Before the broadcast, you gave me a little bit of a tip about what you were going to talk about. And I think it's a good idea to talk about it, because so often when we're on a plant-based journey and we do get these questions, oh, where do you get your protein and all these things? And we think that the world thinks we're nuts and they're just waiting for us to fail, and they're not paying attention. And I always think about how, if anybody's raised any children, they're watching you. They may not be acting like they're watching you, but they're watching you,
Mm-hmm.
imitating you, and they're waiting to see what you do. And the people that we're around, they're watching us, even though we think that they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to try to be our best at what we're doing, because we never know who's watching us or who we might run into that we could be helpful to. So let's hear about your story.
Okay. So it starts in a new friend I met in February, but it starts in January, where this friend, she was really kind of on the fence about believing in God. She wasn't really sure what she believed in, but her and her husband went to a family church gathering at a guy's garage. Actually, they weren't part of a church, but they were having a church gathering in this garage. She meets some people I know who are the parents of a brain injured individual that I take care of. We'll call him Steve. So she meets them, and then the next week, one night, she finds out about Steve. But one night that week, she woke up hysterical, crying. And she didn't know what was going on, but she was happy. And she said, to her husband, he's like, what's the matter? And she said, I don't know, but I know I'm going to be okay. And I need to go meet Steve. That's the brain injury. Yeah. So I can't think of anything but other than to call it a revelation. I looked up the definition of it today, and this is what a revelation is. So she went to church the next week and told the family, I need to go meet Steve. And the family's like, they don't even know this woman, but they think she's probably okay. So they said, okay. They set it up, and she came in on a day that I happened to be working. She comes in, meets him, no sparks fly, nothing strange happens or anything. She's wondering, well, why did I come here? to meet him if I'm not feeling anything. The visit's coming to an end, and I have chills. And I think, I've got to tell her what I know. So I stood up and I got in front of her and I said, her name is Lori. She let me use her name. And I said, you don't know why you were brought here to meet Steve, but I have information that could help you. And on that visit, she spilled her guts about having liver disease, cirrhosis of the liver. She's going to die if she doesn't get a new liver in 3 to 5 years. That's what the doctors told her. Nothing can change it. You just have to have this transplant. So I tell her about the power of plants. She's open to it. She listens. And then I give her, I don't know what I did with it. I give her Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Die. And I say, here it is, chapter 8, How Not to Die from Liver Disease. Read these 15 pages, follow his directions, and it quite possibly could save your life. So she did. And a month ago, 2 months ago, she came off of the transplant list. And I saw her just yesterday. Doctors said, your liver is healing itself, and that's not supposed to happen. That doesn't happen.
Right.
And it's happening. And she had a biopsy yesterday, which she'll get further information on that to clear her completely. And her test results are excellent. Her numbers are good. And she fixed her liver by getting off of meat and dairy and giving herself a chance to rebuild her cells with proper tools and materials instead of meat and dairy tools and materials are terrible for rebuilding cells. But vegetables and fruit cells, those are strong ones. And she gave me the best, warmest hug yesterday, and she wasn't glowing, she was shining. And I just want your viewers to know that you change the food instead of change the organs. Don't let doctors cut into you. You got to change your food and give it a chance to save you.
Well, that's it does. It rings true. It really does. And I mean, there are times when people have to have procedures and treatments and things, but you know, if you have the opportunity to try going with this lifestyle first, and you have the time to do that, and not, you know, you're not like right at that breaking point of decision making. Although, I mean, there have been people that have participated in studies for reversing heart disease where the doctors had told them to go home and make arrangements because they were so close to not surviving much longer, and they were able to transform their lives. And that was Dr. Cobble Esselstyn had done studies with that. So yes, it definitely is possible. And I wanted to ask the Green Warriors, have you ever met anyone whom you were able to help with information about a plant-based diet? Let us know in the comments if you have a similar story to Mitch's, because I think that there are times that we have that. And I think it also, sometimes it just, like I hinted to before you began this story about this person that you met, sometimes there's this effect that happens that we think that we've tried to tell family members and friends about it and they don't want to do it. And then we just say, okay, I'm not going to bother them anymore about it. And it could be years later. And that person all of a sudden comes up to you and says, you know, can you tell me a little bit more about what you do? Because I think I might want to do it. So I encourage people, just keep, I always tell my clients, you're the tortoise. Just keep going. Those bunnies are going to be jumping all around you and not get
try
anywhere.
Try to be a good example. And I'm learning all the time how to communicate with people better about this, because most people just want to shut me out. They think I'm crazy.
Right.
Although I'm not eating bags of garbage and I don't have diabetes, and I'll ride my bicycle like it's going out of style, and I can do pull-ups and chin-ups and floor exercises and high intensity interval training HIIT. Yeah. And I feel so good afterwards. It's just weird to feel like my body's getting younger almost. I definitely feel like I've slowed down the aging process in the last 5 years, because I certainly don't feel like a 60-year-old.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I see 30-year-olds that they won't sit down on the floor because they don't think they would be able to get back up again.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
I'm so glad you said that, because I watched Dan Buettner's special on Netflix,
with the
Live
blue
to 100 Secrets of the Blue Zones.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I gathered from it, other than the laundry list of things I'm already doing, is he said about the people in Okinawa, Japan, having cushions and rugs to sit on.
Yeah.
And the quote that hit me like a Mack truck was, so there's 103-year-old people in Okinawa, Japan, getting off the floor 30 times a day. And when he said that, I said, that's it. I'm sitting on the floor every time I put my shoes on and off. So every single time, which can be 8 to 12 times a day, I get on the floor, along with my floor exercises a couple days a week. I can get up off the floor so quick and easy. I never want to be looking up at my son and saying, help me up.
Yeah.
I want to be able to bounce up
commercial.
next to him and
Yeah.
say, let's go play some Frisbee or go for a bike ride when I'm 80.
Yep. And you can smile about that and know
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's definitely going to be there for you. I mean, I grew up in New York, and there's a melting pot. So a lot of different first generation people, which immigrated, and mostly I noticed, but even there were other people too, but mostly the Asians. I was around some Greek people too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, they were grown men, and in their 50s and 60s, and then even older, and they would squat on the floor instead of sitting in a chair, and it was comfortable, because that's what we're meant to do. We're not meant to sit in a chair. We're meant to squat.
No.
Like a toddler who just squats and plays with his toys. That's what we're meant to do. So that's a great idea.
Just weeks ago, I DJ'd a wedding, because I'm a wedding DJ, and I watched a little 2.5-year-old out on the dance floor. He was pogo jumping.
Because it was fun.
And I looked at him, I said, I'm going to add that to my hit. So I pogo jump for 30 seconds, and I'll switch my feet around back and forth, and I'll jump to my right, I'll jump to my left, I'll jump in front of me and in back of me. So I'm doing this just like the 2.5-year-old, because I want to gain back my mobility and the elasticity in my the quick twitch fibers in my tendons and in my muscles.
Yeah.
I want to keep those going, so I always have mobility.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mobility and fitness, we have Boomer and Beyond Wellness. Her name is Angela Fischetti. She's watching right now, and she's been on almost countless times on the show.
Yes,
and
she has.
Different kinds of fitness things, and she turned me on to a rebounder. It's a mini trampoline.
I'm getting one. I just haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to get one.
I mean, I didn't go out and buy the most expensive one, because I wanted to make sure I was going to really enjoy it. I didn't want to
use it.
And now I'm like, what? Oh, it's so much fun.
It's not like what my friend said. Why does exercise equipment always become clothing racks?
Well, that's because when people say which exercise equipment should I get, it's the one that you'll use.
Yep,
and
exactly.
Some of it will become a clothing rack, and it's just not your thing. Like for me, walking on a treadmill is so boring. I can't do it. But this rebounder thing, you feel like a kid. You really do. And
I'm going to get one.
Can't help but yeah. And Angela, Boomer and Beyond, she said, jumping is great. Yay for rebounds.
Well, that little 2.5-year-old was having a blast, and I thought, I want some of that. So
so that's why when you said about that pogo thing, I said, I think you're going to like the rebounder. I think you should definitely. Yeah. And you were talking about transformations, and Angela Fischetti, Boomer and Beyond, she said that the Western surgeons wanted to remove my uterus and at one point my thyroid. And through diet and lifestyle, I still have both.
That's great.
So, yeah, she had told, and I can put a link to that in the show notes, she had told a wonderful healing story journey that she went through. And she, she's in our age range, and wow, she just did a yoga thing last last broadcast, and she's one of those people that can make herself into a pretzel. I mean, she is so fit and
I
so
aspire
strong.
pretzels. I know
No,
pretzels are loaded with gluten, but I want to be
yes,
like one anyhow.
human pretzel's okay though, right? Yeah, yeah. Well,
Well, Dr. Furman says if you don't like vegetables, you better live next to a hospital because you're going to need one.
yeah.
I love that line.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I had him on the show. He's very witty and intelligent, so
Yeah.
you can learn quite a bit from him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I read Fast Food Genocide and Eat to Live, and his latest Eat to Live
Eat for
version.
life. Eat for life.
Eat for Life, yeah. So I've read 3 of his books, and I consider myself a nutritarian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's the best way to live, to eat with nutrient excellence to get excellent health, and that's what I
Yeah.
get.
Yeah,
So
and it's so crazy because the foods that are most nutrient dense are the lowest in calories, like leafy greens. They're so
yep,
low in calories. You could eat so many of them, you wouldn't be able to eat. You could eat them all day, and you'd hardly
right.
have any calories. And they're the highest in nutrients. So it's so easy. You don't even have to count calories. You don't have to weigh or measure because the things that are the healthiest are just the best overall.
And never have to get on the scales again.
No,
I haven't been
unless you
on them
just
in.
want to smile.
Yeah.
And give yourself a
I'm
pat on the back.
I'm still exactly the same weight. This is weird.
Yeah. So
So
now
cool.
you said that you're a DJ. So how does that work? I mean, you were telling me that before the broadcast that sometimes you wind up having to eat the food that they're served at a wedding or something, and oftentimes the Green Warriors are saying, "Hey, what do I do?" And I'm
Yeah.
not at home. How do I navigate? So how do you navigate that?
I navigate that by bringing my own food, and I'll go up and I'll get some olives and carrot sticks and celery if I want. But I bring my own food. I sit right down and I eat my vegetable mix that I brought, and I've got my apple and my orange because I eat one after lunch and after dinner every time. And that I if I eat that vegetable mix, I know I'm going to feel unbelievable. And I want to feel unbelievable after every meal. So
Yeah.
that's why I don't vary from it hardly much at all. I'll eat my vegetable mix usually 6 days a week for lunch and dinner, almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I vary one dinner or 2 dinners a week, if that. But I just like to eat that food because I know it's going to treat me really good. And it does. And my breakfast, I eat my big bowl of oatmeal with ground flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seed, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, grapes, raisins, an apple, and a quarter brick of tofu. And so I eat that every morning because
Yeah.
I know it's going to treat me really good.
Yeah, and you're smiling about it. You're not like, oh, got to eat you're smiling
No.
like you're lighting up saying, I just look forward to this breakfast. And it makes me, not only that it tastes good, but it makes you feel good.
Oh yeah. It's like getting a brick of gold. I
Mm.
mean, it's that, like, gold is worth it and it's going to be last long, but this is better. It's food. I'm such a nerd about this. I love it.
Well,
So
all of my Green Warriors, I hope they're all nerds because I am. and you have to be a little bit of a nerd. And
yeah.
I found that in the people that I meet, the people that have adopted a plant-based lifestyle and stick to it, a lot of them are nerds. And oftentimes some of them, they just say, I learned about it. I learned that it makes sense because there's research and evidence to back it up. It may not be what I would choose if I could choose anything that I
Yeah.
could put in my mouth without any repercussions. Would that be the first thing? Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not, but it doesn't matter because it
Yeah.
just makes it's stupid if you don't. That's what a lot of them say to me. It's just stupid if you don't. So I just do it, and that's it. And the thought of not feeling, nothing tastes as good as healthy feels, right?
I love that line. And I live by that every day. When I see people eating Doritos and Cheetos and drinking Pepsi and Mountain Dew, I think, I'll have a sip of water and I'll eat my apple and my orange before lunch if I want a treat,
Yeah.
but nothing's going to make me feel as good as this food.
So when you first told your friends that you were gluten-free or plant-based, I mean, did they think it was just part of your stand-up routine?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Most of them thought I was crazy, but then they saw me losing weight but they can't see through the veil of processed food and meat and dairy. It's so addicting, and it's just awful. And they just need to just give it a shot. Get rid of 90% of the meat and fill your plate with vegetables and some starch. And, maybe some rice or quinoa or something, or millet. I'm crazy about millet lately. I love that. And load it up with a bunch of steamed broccoli and a little coconut aminos and chow down and see if you don't feel really good, and have some fruit afterwards. And that's a big full meal that'll make you feel really good. It won't make you cloudy in your head. It won't make you sleepy. You'll be ready to go for a walk, or play a game or something, or do something other than passing out like normal food does.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like all the things that the most of the population thinks are bad for you are actually good for you. And most of the things that they think don't harm you are actually bad. So people are afraid to eat a potato. People are afraid to eat fruit, but yet they'll eat, like you said, soda, chips, and things like that, or cheese. And I've often had people say to me, you're really limited, and you should really not. And here you were talking about the millet. I mean, that's what I should say. Well, have you ever had millet?
Exactly.
Because you're limited.
Right. Rip Esselstyn?
Yes.
Well,
Caldwell Esselstyn's son.
Yeah, exactly. He said a line that stuck with me. Somebody asked him, well, they said, "You're so limited." He said, "I eat from an embarrassment of riches." And I thought, that you stand at the edge of the produce department in your local grocery store and go, "Look at all this. I can eat all of this if I want." And then you can get exotic and go to an Asian grocery store or something like that and see other crazy stuff. But just, sweet potatoes and beet greens. I love to steam beet greens. Those are great. You could just.
Nothing goes to waste.
Oh, no, absolutely nothing. I always eat the beet greens. I've been at the farmer's market, and a woman was buying the beets I wanted to buy. She got the last ones. I said, "You going to eat those greens?" "Oh, no." And I
that was
said,
smart.
"May I have them?" I pull out my jackknife and I cut them off and kept them. And I said, "I want you to keep them because I want you to steam them and eat them." But she said, "No, I wouldn't do that." And I'm like, I eat the leaves off of the cauliflower. I'll cut that up and I'll get three or four meals out of just those leaves and the stalks, because they soften up on 2 or 3 minutes in my Instant Pot steaming. And I've got a bunch of extra food for free.
Tell us, Green Warriors, in the comments, that do you what kinds of things do you eat that you think that other people might toss, like the things that we're talking about, the beet greens and the cauliflower leaves. Tell us what things that you might eat. One of the things that come to my mind is when I used to eat kiwis before adopting the lifestyle, I used to peel them.
Oh yeah, the skin's super good for you.
Yeah. But now I don't. I just cut them up small, and then I eat them. And the skin's not tough when you cut them up in smaller pieces. And the skin has got lots of nutrients. And you just definitely don't want to waste that at all.
No, and broccoli stalks, you can shave off the fibrous outside. But here's a tip: if you are into fiber, you shave off maybe an inch off the end of the stalk for that really thick fiber. But the rest of it, you just dice up into, thin pieces and use that to dip into your hummus.
Oh,
and you're cutting it thin so that fibrous outside just crunches up and you eat it. And that's super, super colon cleaning for your body to scrape away excess fat and disease and what are those things that stick to the polyps, all that, because that's really good fiber. So eat it and don't let it go to waste.
Yeah, because we have a green smoothie in the morning, and then anytime that I have, we call them broccoli stumps. So I cut off the florets and put in the flour, and the stumps, they go into the Vitamix, and
I
they
like
become
that.
a part of the. But I've never thought about using them as hummus chip dips. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to try to do that.
You're going to love it. And another
Nice.
silly thing I like to do with my hummus, after I eat half the package, I'll take a quarter brick of tofu and I'll chop it up really small. I'll throw it into the hummus. I'll throw in my ground flaxseed, chia seed, hemp seed. I'll put in some hot sauce and maybe a splash of balsamic vinegar and maybe some of my nut mix. I'll throw that in and stir it up. Then I've, tripled the volume of this half a container of hummus, and I've got a whole new dip that tastes totally different, and it's really good. And I'll put smash some pinto beans and throw those in. So good with those broccoli stumps.
Yeah, but of course you didn't start off this way, right? I mean, you heard about don't eat meat, go plant-based, and then you just had to kind of figure this out. It wasn't the first day that you're like, well, I think I'll just take my broccoli stumps and my pinto beans and my tofu, right? You had to figure it out.
That was a job. That first month or so was a lot of work figuring out what else can I eat other than salad. Yeah. So I started steaming, and I will tell you this one incident where I had dizziness and I thought I was going to black out. And in that course of that incident, it was like a little revelation. I said, I need nuts and seeds. I've got to have some ground flaxseed and some walnuts, because I've been listening to podcasts and they mentioned them for your brain, and it's a good fat replacement. And so I got nuts and seeds that night. I got some flaxseed and ground flaxseed and chia seed.
Oh, it looks like we lost Mitch for a moment, and I think we may be coming. Hang on a second. I'm going to add. We lost you. You said you got some ground flax and chia seeds, and then for some reason you popped out.
Oh, sorry, like ground flax.
It was.
Yeah. Sorry, ground flaxseed and chia seed and some walnuts, and I just felt so much better. I felt calmer and more level, and I thought these need to go in my food pretty much every time. So I did, and it really helped.
I just want to acknowledge Boomer Beyond Wellness. She gave me a super sticker. Thank you so much. She's such a great champion of my channel, and I'm a champion of hers because she's just so fabulous with everything she does. I do plant-based coaching, but she does the fitness and all that kind of coaching. So we complement each other, I think, and
that's so sweet.
Together we make a pretty cool plant-based person.
Yeah, I'm glad she's watching. She would get a kick out of my floor exercises.
Yeah, she probably would want to see that.
I do these. I get into like a push-up position, and then I will flip over backwards, and then I flip over backwards going to my right 5 times, and then I flip over backwards going to my left 5 times.
Kind of like you're breakdancing.
Kind of. And I do 15 really horrible push-ups. And then I reach down and I touch my left foot. I reach down and touch my right foot, raising my feet up to my hands. Yeah. And I do that like 5 times.
Wow.
And then I'll do planks on my right and on my left and in the center. Then I'll do my HIIT exercises. And for a 60-year-old guy, that's pretty good.
I know. I was going to say, you're too old to do that. You should be careful.
No. I've got to get that grip strength back that was going away when I was 50, 55. I noticed my grip strength was right down the toilet. Yeah. And soon after I went plant-based, I noticed my muscles were gone. And I thought, I got to start moving. I got to start doing something to build them back. And I built them back quite well.
So you don't need all this extra animal protein
in order
to make muscles. And
absolutely not.
I mean, as we age, we are declining in our muscles. That's just how the clock is ticking, and we are. And I often tell my clients, it's like you're trying to run up a down escalator. You really have to, every day, you got to be committed to the lifestyle and to your fitness. Even if it's not extreme fitness, you have to, because if you sit still, you're sliding back.
Yep. It's pushing you into ADLs, which is activities of daily living, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to go beyond that and push it. And I'm pushing it, and it feels really good. And I'm so glad that I can do things with my friends. I went and played 35 holes of disc golf the other day, and then I rode my bike over 3.5 miles in the wind with a 28-pound backpack on, and I did my floor exercises in the morning before that. I thought, man, that's a lot of activity for an old guy, and I feel good. I'm glad I did it.
That'd be like a year's worth of activity for So that's
right.
That's wonderful. So do you think that there was a specific moment on your plant-based journey that made you laugh and think, I got to use this in my comedy set?
Oh, I do. I work it in a little bit about how regular it makes me, and some jokes about going gluten-free. Unfortunately, they're very inappropriate, so I'm afraid we can't share them here today. But they're fun, and I enjoy that.
Well, it's always fun to hear. There are a couple of comedians out there that are vegan, and they make some comedy about it too. And some of them may not be appropriate, but they're very funny. But when you said about being regular, I heard somebody say, vegans are regular people.
That is very true.
Isn't that clever?
Yeah, it's very clever. They give me a hard time at work about it, but hey, I'm the one that's having ease in there and not taking a laxative to try to get it moving, So.
Wow. Yeah. So, another reason I'm glad you're on is because it seems that oftentimes a lot of women are the biggest population of the plant-based lifestyle, and they are struggling to get their men who are with them on board. And there's so many men that are worried that they're going to lose muscle, or they're going to, that they won't be a manly man. And so it's so nice to see somebody like you who, I mean, you're my age, so you're older, and you're fit, you're vibrant, and
Yep.
and you don't have to worry about losing your manliness, because
I don't need a blue pill.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just leave it at that.
Leave it at that, guys.
Yeah, which is pretty cool to be able to say it, because I noticed it was faltering some in my early 50s, and I thought, well, this just must be getting older.
Yeah.
And then when I went plant-based, it's like, it came back. How cool. And that's just arterial deterioration. It's those vessels getting thinner and thinner from the bad diet, and you eat the right diet, a good plant-based diet, and they open up, and the endothelial cells that make up the inside of our arteries open up and expand. And that also expands the arteries in our brain. So my brain will continue to work and not pinch off those arteries, which leads to Alzheimer's. And that scares me beyond words. And that's why I'm eating this way, and because I want to keep those vessels open and keep blood traveling in my brain.
Yes, we are just so fortunate that all the worries that we would have about diseases that are thought to be inevitable consequences of aging, are not, and it's all the same plan. It's all the same lifestyle.
Yep.
We don't have to eat this way for that way and this way for that way. We just keep doing the one thing that we're doing, and it's going to help us with all of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So, have you ever been tempted to tell someone that you lost weight by only eating lettuce, just to see their reaction?
No, I can't, because I want to blab on about all the plants I eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's I think 18 or 19 different plants that make up my lunch and dinner. I make the same thing and I split it, eat half at lunch and half at dinner. And then for breakfast, I think there's 14 or 15. So I'm getting a lot of plants every day, and I don't even eat very much lettuce at all. I just don't, because I like other leafy greens instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Oh, Boomer Beyond Wellness said, we need to train because of ADLs. There are many who cannot do them.
Yeah, those are the activities of daily living is the bare minimum. It's getting up and getting another pop from the fridge. It's going to the bathroom. It's sitting down at your desk. But that's, you got to do a lot more to be able to do those very easily,
Wow. So now your son, you said he was your champion for this. So is he still plant-based?
No, he's health. I'll say he's health conscious. He's in the Navy and he's
It's a little
getting
tricky.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting out next year. I'm very proud of him, and he's in super good shape. But he also listens to all my stories about plant-based living, and he doesn't really agree with it, but he respects it. He knows that, well, my dad looks really good, and I'm in good shape, and so, he can do the math in his head.
Yeah, I think eventually it reminded me of somebody that I met who she every 2 or 3 years she had the means, but every 2 or 3 years she would buy a new car, and I was talking to her about oil changes, and she says, "Well, I don't do oil changes."
Oh,
right, and she didn't have to. Right? Because if you're only going to drive the car for 3 years, nothing's going to be affected if you don't do an oil change, and then you just trade it and get a new one, right? And I think about that with the younger generation. It's right now they're not feeling anything yet.
no.
It's happening inside them, but they're not feeling any symptoms of it yet. And maybe they could get by without an oil change, for a few years.
Yeah.
But then eventually it's going to hit them that I think I better do something. So I think he'll turn around and see you as an inspiration, especially if when you're still going and he's starting to slow down, and then maybe you're kind of catching up, and then
yeah. I said, hey man, if you he shows me his muscles or that he's been working on. I said if you really want to get ripped, eat mostly plants and you will be ripped beyond your wildest imagination. You'll just, who's the actor that was, he's in the, that rock band. Oh, I can't think of his name. Anyhow, he's a big rock star. He's an actor. And he said, and he's 50, I think. And he looks like he's a 28-year-old. He says, I eat plants because it keeps me ripped. I love that because he's just ripped. He looks great. His body is, because it just gets rid of the fat and pulls down to just your muscles and your body. And it's just really cool. I can't believe I can see my muscles at this age.
It's so wonderful. And even me, every year I get better, and I can do things now that I couldn't do, in my 30s and 40s.
Yeah, you went plant-based in 2012?
Yeah. It's been over a decade, but I have more stamina, I have more strength, I have more mental clarity.
And you're getting older.
That's supposed to be declining is getting better. So
yeah, it's a reversal with the right food. It's like Dr. Clapper says, it's the food.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to tell people, but and that's what I'm glad that you're here, because somehow each one of my guests is going to touch somebody in a way that another guest wouldn't have. Yeah. Right. So somebody's going to resonate with you. They didn't resonate with somebody else. And especially, I think we were talking about this earlier. You're not selling any books. You're not selling any services or anything. You were just saying, hey, I found out about this. It's helping me. Yep. Maybe you would like to be feeling as good as I do. Right.
Right. I'm selling broccoli and ground flaxseed. I'm not really, but that's what I'm trying to say. Eat these whole foods and they will treat you like, not like a king, because kings ate a lot of meat and most kings got sick and heart disease and died, but eat like this and it'll treat you like a pauper.
Yes. And that's what you want to do. Live like a pauper.
Paupers live a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because they have to eat whole foods.
Yep. They don't get gout or.
No, exactly. Heart disease and diabetes and all that stupid stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have some questions. Rachel wanted to know, what was the hardest part of going fully plant-based for you?
For me, I kind of went at it for a few months, cutting the meat out. A lot of them, so like Dr. Barnard says, just go cold turkey, just do it.
I think you said Tofurkey.
Yeah, go Tofurkey. He's got a 21-day transition plan that sounds pretty good, and I think that people should probably look at that. But it really wasn't hard for me. Especially once I saw the documentaries like What the Health, Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, The Game Changers, and Eating Animals, I think those are the 5 I watched, and they spelled it out for me so plainly that it would be better for me, better for the planet, and better for animals to eat this way. And, the moral side of it's coming out all the time continuously, but I'm just reaping the benefits so much every day personally that it's just astounding. And also, I don't produce garbage. My neighbors put out garbage every week, giant piles. I put out garbage, I'm not kidding, like 5 times a year. That's it.
It's really nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I put out a recycle bin once a month, but the garbage can just never gets filled because I don't produce garbage.
Well, and you don't waste things, right? Because we were talking about the broccoli stumps, what you were doing with that. So there's just a lot of different things that you have found that you can eat all of these things. Maybe they're tough to chew, so you either have to cook them down a little bit or you have to peel them like you do with the broccoli stumps, and which is wonderful because people say, "Oh, isn't it so expensive to have this lifestyle?" But if you're resourceful, you can really, and you can even get free beet greens.
Right, exactly. I would say buy an Instant Pot and buy an air fryer. Like I have a pizza oven style Ninja air fryer, and I use that a lot. It's wonderful. Those are a couple of investments you have to make, but they really make it easy because I cook all my beans, my pinto beans. I'll cook 15 days worth at once, and then I put them in cups and put them in the freezer. Because you got to eat beans every day, and they make a big difference. So that really wasn't hard.
So Green Thumb Girl want to know if you ever have cravings for the foods that you used to eat, and if so, how do you deal with that?
No, because I'm so. They say the word satiated now, but it's really satisfied. I'm so satisfied all day, every day, that I don't want to eat that stuff. If I want a snacky treat, I'll have a banana with some 100% ground peanut butter, or I'll put the peanut butter on frozen banana, or I'll eat some frozen grapes, or I'll have another apple or an orange, and I'm satisfied. I'll go out and go do something, but the eating this way just takes your mind off of the old garbage.
Yeah.
Where you won't want it because nothing tastes as good as feeling good feels. So that's the new attitude, and your taste buds will also change to that too.
Yeah, it's so true. And sometimes eating kind of like gets in the way. It's like, okay, let me just eat because I want to go do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go ride my bike. I want to go, play frisbee golf or whatever, so let me just eat so I can go do that.
Right.
Instead of saying and making eating the destination of your happiness, it's just a means to give you the energy and the stamina to do the things that make you happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel the same way about it, and I hope that this is inspiring people. I bet it is. So, Alicia,
they can do it.
No, that wasn't Alicia. Let's see. Oh, Danielle, your transformation is truly remarkable. Were there any specific exercises or physical activities that you incorporated into your routine to complement your dietary changes? I know now you're saying that you do these skillful HIIT training. So, what about in the beginning?
In the beginning, I would didn't do much. I didn't do much at all. That's why my muscles depleted so much until just a couple of years ago, like about 3 years in, I realized I don't have any muscle left. I got to do something. So then I came up with the floor exercise, just created those on my own, kind of watching a couple videos here. And I read Penn Jillette's book.
Yes,
he's a comedian.
Yes, he was with Penn and Teller, and they did magic together. But he's also a comedian, and he actually followed Dr. Furman, and he lost a lot of weight. So
Yeah, and he does HIIT training. I think from the New York Times, there's an article or something where they do some sort of high intensity interval training. So I saw him doing it. Saw him running in place, high stepping, running in place, and he was doing planks and other exercise. And I thought I should do HIIT. That's pretty good. So I've started those, and those feel great. But back to getting on the floor every time I put my shoes on, that has affected my core and everything, my arms, my shoulders, my hands, everything, because have my legs out in front of me, and I'll use my left arm or my right arm to just raise my body up and push up and stand up from there, and not over on all fours to get up. But I do that every time. So I'm working my arms every time. And that, I think, alone, not even doing other exercises, just getting up off the floor is a huge exercise in itself. I urge everybody to get down there, because you'll get down there and go, how am I going to get up?
Yeah.
So use a chair, whatever, but get up and then get back down there later in the day and do it over and over. And then they'll start feeling their body, and they'll go, that Mitch Gill, he's smart.
I think it's very clever. You could do like a little workout video saying, you don't need any equipment. This is what you got to do. Okay,
Yeah.
ready? Let's get on the floor. Put on
You don't have to go to the gym. You could just get on the floor. You can do your floor exercises, do your HIIT training, stand in the same spot, get on the floor to put your shoes on and off, get up and do something, get back down there and put your house slippers on, and get back down there to put your socks on, get back down there to put your shoes on.
It almost reminds me, we were talking about earlier, like when you follow the toddler around or something, that this is what they're always doing. They're always like, oh, I'm going to pop myself on the floor and do this, or you tell the kid, come on, let's put your shoes on. They pop themselves on the floor. Okay. And that's what you're doing. And that's so awesome.
Yeah. And then in your late 20s and your 30s, you start losing it, and you don't do that anymore, because now you're privileged and you can lay around, and you're losing it, man. You're letting it slip away. And if you don't go after it, it will go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They say if you don't use it, you will lose it.
Right on.
So we talked about your son a little bit earlier, and Plant Power Patty wanted to know if your son in the Navy ever tried plant-based meals with you, and what did he think? So if you ever sit down and meal together, I mean, how does that work?
I fed him once when he was home on leave, and he thought it was okay.
Yeah.
But I'll get after him again when he comes back. And I've been trying to help out my oldest brother. He's going to be 70 in March. And I did feed him a couple times, and he liked it. And now he's asking me what to do with tofu and things like that. So I'm hoping I can help get him to help him lose some weight and feel a little bit better. So
yeah, because maybe there's a little sibling competition going on there.
Now,
I'm saying he may feel that way.
Oh, maybe. I would like him to taste the Kool-Aid, because it's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, you just had such a great story to share. And then this story about the woman that you met, that was so wonderful too.
Yeah.
And I told you before the show, maybe we'll try to get her on.
I think I'm going to get her in touch with you,
because that was very inspiring. Yeah. And somebody else, I think we had another comment. Hang on a second. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so Julie. Hi, Julie. She wanted to know if you have a Facebook page.
I do. It's Mitch Gill. I think it's just Mitch Gill. And I'm holding a microphone. And I have a black hat on. And I don't really do a whole lot of Facebook, just for my comedy when I'm doing stand-up here and there. I kind of got off of Facebook and got off of social media right at COVID, when all that went down, and I think my life's been a little better without it. So personally, but I sure do love podcasts like yours, and you've been integral for me in terms of being like a rooting section or a coach, if you will. While I do my food prep over the last 5 years, I've listened to you and learn from you and your guests, and I really appreciate it, along with the exam room and Eat to.
Oh, I think we lost Mitch again, so he's going to pop back on. He's like a genie. You're like a genie, Mitch.
Yeah, actually, you know what I have to do?
But that's okay. You're back.
Okay.
And so C has a question for you. What was your percentage cooked versus raw during the weight loss?
It was quite a bit of raw, and it still is. My beans are cooked. Obviously my tofu is, and I think that's it. Because I will take cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, and I'll chop it up, and I'll rinse it and put it through the salad spinner, and then I store it in a big tub with the lid loosely sitting on top. And every time I draw out of it with the measuring cup, I flip the lid over so it draws the condensation off every time, and it makes those vegetables last for like 10 days in the
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a good tip.
It really is. And self-discovered, no one told me, but I noticed I lifted the lid. I thought, wow, that's really wet. I should dry that. I just flipped it over and it dried. And then I didn't realize that every time. And I thought, these veggies are lasting. So I'm going to do that. And so I eat the cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli. I eat the cooked beans and the tofu and the nuts and the seeds, turmeric, black pepper, red pepper flakes, cayenne pepper, balsamic vinegar, kelp powder, and raisins, and half an avocado. And I stir it all up, and I'll eat half of that for lunch and half for dinner. And I could eat it. I think I could eat every day for the rest of my life because I love it, and it makes me feel so good. A lot of food. I eat like almost 5 3/4 pounds food every day. A lot of food, but it all has a place to go, and it all makes me feel amazing.
Wow, isn't that nice? I mean, because people think that in order to lose weight and get fit, that you have to have restrictive eating as far as measuring and weighing and things,
Yeah.
and you don't really think about how much you're eating. You just eat until you're comfortably full, right?
There's no measuring of anything. I mean, I gotta watch with that kelp powder. Apparently, you can get too much of it.
Yeah.
So I'm eating I'm eating like about a half a teaspoon, and a split between lunch and dinner. So, I mean, you tell me, is that too much, or is that?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can go less because it's you have to worry about the iodine and
Okay, I will.
thyroid and all that. So yeah,
I'll do a little bit less.
yeah, you can go less and be fine with it.
Yeah, but I eat it for the iodine and for salt and iodine.
Yeah, you don't need the extra salt because there's salt in all of our vegetables.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I'm sure you probably noticed it. Apparently you don't use added salt.
No, I don't.
Right. So you probably noticed that you are starting to taste the saltiness in some of these vegetables that you wouldn't ordinarily taste it in, and because they have that salt, like celery,
Yeah.
definitely can taste the salt in there. So they all have salt.
Yeah. Cut out most of the salt, and I've cut out oil, all except for olive cooked popcorn, about once or twice a month at the movie. And my own nutritional yeast seasoning that I've created at home, dill in it and a couple other things, and I'll put that on my popcorn. But I love that olive cooked. Well, I know it's olive oil good, but that's my only indulgence. I'm sure Dr. wouldn't appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I think it seems like you're doing very well. I often tell people that we are the 1%ers.
Yeah.
Because of how we're living our lifestyle. Well, Green Warrior, please click like to show your appreciation for Mitch's story and what he shared with us today. And it was just so powerful and inspirational. And I really want to thank you so much, Mitch, for sharing your inspiring journey of health and transformation with us today. I mean, your insights and your techniques of how you live your life with the exercising and the foods. I mean, I think they've just been incredibly helpful for our Green Warriors looking for inspiration on their plant-based journey.
Well, thanks. It's a lot of it has to do with you and Angela and your other powerful guests you guys told me what to do. I had nobody. I didn't have a personal trainer or a chef or anything. You guys told me what to eat, and you told me how to move, and I followed those. And I'm a bachelor now, so I just took all the food. I took all of Dr. Furman's G-Box and Dr. Greger's Daily Dozens, and I chucked them in a bowl and stirred it all up and ate it. And Dr. Esselstyn's anointing the cruciferous vegetables with the vinegar. I just put it all in and ate it. I thought, this is supposed to be super good. And guess what? It is.
It is. That's right.
So
So,
I
Mitch,
appreciate you.
well, thank you. It's so nice. And to let you know, Green Warrior, that Mitch, he said that he listens to me. So, but not only did he listen to what we talk about and what my guests talk about, but he actually listens to me on my podcast, because if you want to listen to this show, you don't have to go to YouTube or Facebook. You can just go to your favorite podcast platform, and Apple or wherever it is, and I'm there too. And that's what you do. You listen to me.
Yeah,
you listen and you listen.
Yeah, follow you on Spotify, and Spotify will let me know you've got a new episode. Oh, there's Amy on you, and I listen to you while I make my 3 meals for the day in the morning. It takes me 30 minutes to make all my food for the whole day.
It's so hard.
No, it's not.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm making
have
it up because it is. Yeah.
Prep. That's all.
That's all you need. And then you get into that momentum, and it just becomes, you don't even really think about it. You're just listening to the podcast and you're chopping away now. Done.
Right.
Okay. I'm ready. So, Mitch, what's your final take-home message for my Green Warriors?
Life is, let me get in the camera. Life is this long, and you're going to spend this much of it sick and maybe dying. I want to spend this much of it having fun, doing 3 things: what I want, when I want, for as long as I want, until the end of my life. That's what I want. And that's what I want everybody else to have. But you got to put your foot down and say, I'm not going to eat what's on every billboard out there, and I'm not going to listen to doctors. I'm going to eat a plant-based diet, and I'm going to feel and look amazing. And that's what I want people to walk away from this with.
I like that.
Thank you.
So awesome.
That gave me chills.
Everything. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, Green Warrior, what are you going to remember about today's time with Mitch? Type it in the comments. And let us know. I'm sorry?
I hope they're going to remember that, what I just said.
I hope so too. Yeah. And they should replay it and then and record it, because it's
right.
It's very, and if anybody asks you why you're doing this, that's a great why.
Yeah. And so my son doesn't ever have to worry about me or doing it. He could we can go eat some cabbage together.
Yep. I also wanted to thank Just Has Voice, because she did the awesome promos, and
she did.
And you made a comment about that you liked it. So wasn't that fun to hear that?
I used to be a production director at a radio station. She does.
Oh, well, that's nice. I'm sure she's going to love to hear that. Just Has Voice, tell us who's coming up next.
Do food cravings sabotage your healthy eating goals? Discover the strategies and insights that helped Esther Loveridge, who at age 72 lost 130 pounds. Conquer cravings and embrace a healthier lifestyle on Be Green with Amy Live.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to having her back on the show.
That's great.
Well, thank you, Green Warrior, for joining us today. Your engagement and your support make these discussions meaningful and impactful. And I hope you're feeling inspired to take a closer look at your food choices and make some positive changes for your health and your well-being. Because remember, every bite that we take, it's an opportunity to nourish our bodies and, like Mitch, become the healthiest versions of ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah. And please stay tuned for more empowering content, and subscribe to my channel and my social media, and share my message with others who can benefit. Let them see, maybe you can share this broadcast to someone that might benefit, because together as Green Warriors, we can make a meaningful difference in the world. And as a special thank you to all of you, I'm offering you 5 free recipes. So if you go to my website, begreenwithamy.com/join, I'll send them to you. And you can also see some pictures of me doing some things that help me with my activities of daily living and the things that I couldn't do years ago that I'm getting a lot better at now. I'll be sending you some pictures and motivation. And what I like to do at the end, and I'm going to do with Mitch before we do my tagline, please go ahead and take your right hand and grab your left shoulder, and take your left hand and grab your right shoulder. Now squeeze, because that's a hug from me to you, from me to you, Mitch. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this story. And thank you, Green Warriors, for being a supporting part of this channel. And are you ready, Mitch? We're going to do my tagline, and I'm going to ask the Green Warriors to go ahead and type that in the comments while we say it live together. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, until I see all of you again, remember, be strong, be well, and be green. Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you, Green Warriors. Take care, everyone. So nice to see all of you.
Giving me a platform to blab about it. I loved it.
And we loved having you on, and you were fantastic. Bye-bye, Mitch. Bye, everybody.
Looking for really tasty recipes that are SOS free? No sugar, oil, or salt. How can it taste good? Well, if you like flavor, then you'll love this Be Green with Amy recipe ebook. Get your copy today. Click on the link in the show notes. Be strong, be well, and be green.